If you look at the life of our predecessors, those people who we should be looking up to, our role models, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, if you look at their lives, the people that followed them as well, look at the way that they live their lives. It's amazing. Sometimes, especially nowadays, we're turning towards, these videos on YouTube of these motivational speakers, and we go on Instagram to search all these inspirational quotes, right? But sometimes we forget that our motivation, our inspiration is already there. If you look in your history, you will find all these influential figures and inspirations and role models that you can learn so much from. But the problem is we don't know them. That's the problem. We only know the football players, we only know the Kardashians, and we only know the musicians. That's all we know. We don't know about these influential figures. So let me give you some of them. Let me give you examples of a few. Some people who, subhanAllah, they were making use of every single moment of their time. Every single moment. There's a person, a famous scholar, known as Imam al-Tabari, Ibn Jarir al-Tabari. And he compiled a famous tafsir book. It's known as Tafsir al-Tabari. And also a famous tarikh book, a famous book in Islamic history known as Tarikh al-Tabari. That's what it's referred to as. Now, Imam al-Tabari, it's said about him that he would write in his free time. This is what he would do. So think about what you do in your free time. Think about, like, if I think about what I do in my free time and compare it to Imam al-Tabari, right? So in his free time, every single day, he used to write 40 pages for his book. 40 pages. And by the way, this book, both books, Tarikh al-Tabari and Tafsir al-Tabari, it's amazing. He said that initially, he wanted to actually write 30,000 pages for each of these books. So for his tafsir book, he wanted to write 30,000 pages. He was capable of doing it. And when his students asked him, subhanAllah, ya Shaykh, how are you going to write 30,000 pages? You're not even going to live that long. And who's going to read 30,000 pages? A book that's 30,000 pages long. Who's going to read this? So he reconsidered and he said, fine, I'm going to summarize this book and I'm going to write 3,000 pages instead. And that's Tafsir al-Tabari. The same thing, by the way, he did for his Tarikh book, his book in history. He wanted to write 30,000 pages. Again, his students came to him and said, Ya Shaykh, this is not possible. So he said, fine, I'll summarize it into how many pages? 3,000 pages, that's it. So in his free time, he used to write 40 pages a day for his book. And guess how long he did this for? He wrote 40 pages a day for 40 years in a row. SubhanAllah, this is what he did in his free time. This was Imam al-Tabari, a legendary figure. Imam al-Nawawi, rahimahullah, Yahya ibn Sharaf, right, famous Imam al-Nawawi, who, by the way, he only lived for about 45 years, it said. Between 40 to 45 years, he didn't live longer than that. What a short lifespan. But subhanAllah, the legacy that he left behind in that time, it shows that he must have made use of every single moment that he had. He must have made use of it. He must have taken advantage of his free time. Why? Because when he passed away at such a young age, he left behind books upon books upon books. And if you are to go to any masjid now, you will find the Quran, of course, many copies of the Quran. And you will find a few other books in the masjid as well. One of them is Riyadh al-Salihin. Have you heard of Riyadh al-Salihin? Anyone here heard of Riyadh al-Salihin? A famous compilation of hadith? Yes? This is by Imam al-Nawawi, Imam Yahya ibn Sharaf. So he left this behind, but he only lived for about 40 years. So how is it that 1,000 years later, in any mosque you go to, you still find his book there? And people are still mentioning his name and quoting his name. Even till today, I'm mentioning his name and we're saying Rahimahullah, and we're making dua for him. Why? Because he must have left something behind. He must have made use of his time. He must have left behind a legacy.